now.
So the excitement of coming home was something that I had dreamed about for a long time, even since I was a little kid. Certainly the idea of returning home to my roots, to where I grew up, to where I played ball, to where I went to school, to the fields that I walked, was really exciting for me. But it was also a little bit nerve-wracking. You know, anytime you leave a place that you've been at for an extended period of time and you take on a new challenge, it was a little scary at first. The excitement was wrapped up in a lot of different things. Coming home, trying something new, meeting new kids, and certainly the excitement of taking on a new challenge, which was becoming a head football coach. Something that I had never done, but something that I had always wanted to do. And coming home to do it in Lynbrook was really exciting for me. So one of the things that I preached this whole year was trusting the process. And in football, more than any other sport, I believe, is you really have to believe and trust in the process. The process over the prize. Coaching a football team really begins the week after the season ends. And I had jumped into this after I got hired on June 9th. And so after the first week of practice, I said, all right, how am I going to squeeze 6 months into 2?
Coach Yeager is a very great offensive-minded coach. He was the offensive coordinator on the Hewlett team that had beaten us the year prior. So the expectations were very high. I knew what we were getting ourselves into.
I knew we were going to have a new offense. We were going to run things a little differently, but I've only heard good things about Yeager, so I was really excited.
We knew he was a good coach. We knew he was a great guy, but at the end of the day, you know, we didn't know what to expect.
End of the week, it's also a little bit of rah-rah, a little bit of fired up, a little bit of get going for the game. So
my expectations were, I can't really tell you, I was more scared and than excited. I didn't know what our team was going to be and what our future was going to hold for us.
But I thought coming out of that first week, I was really scared, I gotta be honest.
Coming in, there were already a lot of setbacks, being a low seed and losing a lot of seniors, but with a new coach, it was going to be hard. The culture and the bond of the team was a worry of mine because we had such a close group last year.
My concerns after week 1 were, are the kids going to buy into that? Are they going to work towards that? Are they going to believe and trust in the process? Because one of the hardest things about coaching now is people want results and they want them immediately. And I knew that it was going to take time. Time that we didn't necessarily have, so we had to do it a lot faster.
And when a team holds each other accountable, and it's not just the coaches doing it, that is when the team is really successful. We're getting there. We inched closer this week. We did. We inched closer. It was a tough week. It was hot, but we inched closer. We got to inch closer next week, and then we got to inch even closer the week after.
I really liked what I saw. I mean, immediate chemistry right from the first day of camp. Everybody was getting along. There were no problems. The team flowed well together.
It definitely gave me a good idea for what the season was going to be like having all the boys together, bonding together. It really showed me how good we were going to be and how close we were going to get over the season.
We were out there just going at it hard every single day, and I think we were just, after the first week, we were ready for week 1. We were just ready to play.
Okay, so the thing about any football season that's really exciting but also really scary is week 1. Essentially, you're preparing all summer, so almost 11 weeks you're preparing for one single game, one single moment. Now, when you couple that with the fact that it was my first year as a head coach, and I'm coming back home, and I'm coming back to the place that I played and the place that I lived and the place where I've raised my family, there's that added pressure. So there's already that pressure of week 1, and now there's that added pressure of, I want to put on a good show. A home game on a beautiful day against Glen Cove, against a team that's tough, and we're seeded 11 and they're seeded 12, and I know the value of that game right off the bat. You lose that game, and you're really behind the 8 ball for the rest of the season. All the preparation in the world really can't prepare you for the first play, the actual game. And when we kicked off and they muffed that putt and Ryan Shapiro, Batman, picks up that ball and runs into the end zone, it was almost like the weight of the world was lifted off of our shoulders. I was able to take a deep breath and say, all right, I think things are going to work out well for this team.
So what is toughness? Focus. Okay, in the first half, we had 5 unsportsmanlikes and offsides. Like that, we cannot be the team we want to be doing that. I like the overall energy and the effort was great. Special teams was phenomenal today. Great first win, energy all day, the fans, the crowd. It was a great win. And we got to take it and just move forward. But I'm really proud. Everybody got in the game. That's the first. That's the most important thing. And when they got in the game, they made some big plays. Last thing. First win for Coach.
All right, so we knew that going into week 2, we upped the ante a little bit. Week 1, we played Glen Cove. That was the only team that we were going to play all year that was seated below us. And we knew that playing Manhasset is 3 years removed from a county championship with a great coaching staff, a coach that I learned from and I coached with for 15 years. We knew the quality of athlete they have, we knew the quality of team that they had, and they were seated substantially higher than us. So we upped the ante a little bit because at that moment we were still unsure, could we compete? It's a long bus ride, it was their homecoming, they're a really good team, they have a returning all-county quarterback, and we knew that the challenges were going to be great. And we knew we were going to have to lean on each other quite a bit throughout the course of the game in order to achieve success. But we had played a little bit of a field position game with them, and we were able to strike first. We kicked off to them, and they took it back to the house. But special teams was big for us all year. Blocked the point and goes 7-6 us. And it stayed that way much of the game. We're just kind of jockeying position. We're doing an unbelievable job defensively late in the 4th quarter. They put together a drive after a turnover by us. We had them stalled, and it was 4th and 7, and they pitched the ball, and we had 2 guys on them for probably a loss of 1, and their guy just made an unbelievable effort. He gets the first down, he gets 8 yards, and then a couple of plays later, they go in for the touchdown. Our team showed unbelievable resilience because we got the ball in difficult field position. We actually ran 2 plays. We got 2 penalties. We were I think it ended up being 2nd and 35, where we were able to rip off a couple of big plays. We got down to inside of the 15-yard line on 4th down. We threw a pass and it went in and out of the arms of one of our players. Sadly, we came up short. But I would say, we came up short on the scoreboard. We realized, hey, we're in this. We're competing to the bitter end with one of the better teams in the conference. We could be in this thing. And I think, believe it or not, even in that loss, the kids started believing.
Not only did we lose by 1 touchdown, but it came down to the literal last play of us, not being able to make that play is how we lost. And it was a battle back and forth. They scored a big kick return and our defense shut them down after that, and we weren't able to make the big enough plays that we were supposed to.
Okay, so week 3 now, we got Cary, a town that's generally known as a blue-collar town and a very tough town. So we certainly now, after Manhasset, although we were upset that we lost, we really did believe that we could compete. But we knew we had to really up the sense of focus, up the sense of urgency, up the sense of purpose in our practice. We had to play better offensively. Putting up 7 points was just not going to cut it against these good teams. And we needed to get more guys involved in the offense. I think that was the focus, and that was some of the challenges for that week, was going in against a team that we haven't seen, that we haven't played, that's coming down from a new conference, that has high aspirations of making it to the Final Four and even to the championship game, and can we compete with them? And that, I think, that was one of the challenges that we faced all week. So now here we are. We have a great week of practice. The kids are fired up. The coaching staff is fired up. We're really excited. And the day was unbelievable. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful day. We come back home after a long trip to Manhasset. We're really excited.
Before the Cary game, in the locker room, doing regular, normal pregame things, listening to music, getting ready, getting locked in, I noticed I started to feel something off, like a little anxiety, like the energy shifted in the air. Something felt very off. But I was just thinking it could have just been the anxiety for a huge game. And all of a sudden, I just...
We go out to do the coin toss, and we go out to do the pledge to the flag, and I get a gesture from the head official, and he gestures over to me. He says, "Hey, coach, do you want to postpone the game?" Kind of look at him with a strange look. I said, "I don't want to postpone the game. Why would I want to postpone the game?" And he says, "You might want to just look over at your locker room. Something's going on in your locker room." And as I look over, and we're literally about to receive the kick, I see ambulances and people scurrying all over the locker room. We had an assistant coach in there, so I call the assistant coach on my cell phone. I say, "Hey, is everything all right in there?" And he says, "Yeah, listen, coach, everything is not all right. One of your kids had a seizure." And so we gathered everybody in. I gathered everybody in. I said, "Look, I just want to tell you what happened. One of your brothers just had a seizure in the locker room."
I was very angry. I looked at the paramedic and I said, "You're turning this ambulance around and you're taking me back to that field. I need to play in this game."
Losing Byrne was definitely a setback. We definitely needed him for Cary.
So losing Thomas hurt us in a lot of ways, because first off, we were all shook by the news. And second off, we're losing one of our best D linemen. He plays O-line, plays a lot of places on the field, special teams.
Losing Thomas Byrne, really just shook the entire team. This kid I've grown up with, I played football with now 11 years, one of my best friends growing up. It kind of shook me, it shook everyone. And it was just it was the last thing we needed.
He's played all around the field, offense, defense, special teams, so losing him, it's tough, because now you're gonna have to replace a guy like him, which is hard in itself. So.
And we played for him, and we tried our best, but we always had him in the back of our hearts.
Let's go, boys! Let's go! Boys! Let's do it! 1, 2, 3, family! Let's go, baby!
All right, so the game starts with Cary. Now we have a new offensive lineman who hasn't really gotten a lot of reps. We have a new defensive lineman who hasn't really gotten a lot of reps. And we're trying to put this whole thing together. And I think there's a little bit of nervousness, not so much for the game, but in the fact that, is Tommy all right? Is he going to be okay? And I think generally we all felt that. have them stopped in the end zone on a play. We think it's a safety. They say he got out. The very next play, we have him stopped dead to rights again in the end zone, and he shakes out of it and he goes for a 98-yard touchdown run. It was a period of time in the game where, you know, I think it was a little bit deflating for us. And so we're battling and we're hanging in there, and, you know, that play happens, and that could be a really deflating play for any team to have to overcome. And so that makes it 21-8, and we're, you know, on edge a little bit, and then that's at the end of the third quarter. We get the ball. The fourth quarter does start with us down 21-8. We get the ball and we go on a nice little drive. We score to make it 21-15, and we're feeling back. We're like, oh, we're back in this game. We're in the fourth quarter. We're only down by one score, and then 4 plays later they score again. They make it 28-15. And then we get the ball and we go on a long sustained drive, and we score with 28 seconds left. We make it 28-21. And we're feeling really good. We're feeling really excited. We've practiced the onside kick. Luke D'Antoni actually hits a really nice ball, good onside kick. And, you know, as anybody knows, when you're going for an onside kick, it's really, it's about the bounce. And it doesn't take a great bounce, and they cover it, and, you know, we lose that game 28-21. And again, we're certainly deflated about the loss, but I think everybody's minds at that moment were on Tommy and how he was feeling, and hopefully he was feeling good. And we had gotten word towards the end of the game that he was doing all right.
So at the hospital, I was told that I was going to get discharged that day, which I was very thankful for. And I was texting everyone on the team. They were asking how I was doing, and someone texted me saying, like, be ready to have a bunch of people over. So I get home, and the entire team is at my door with food. They brought me donuts. They all wanted to see how I was doing. They wanted to make sure I was able to play. It just really showed how much this team truly cares about each other and is willing to care for each other like a family.
There was just a moment that we'll never forget, because it really made him feel better, and the whole team just had a great time.
Let's get it going. Let's get it going.
Break down! Break down! Family on three. 1, 2, 3. Family!
All right, so week 4, we know we're in for another dogfight. But we're excited about it, and we're excited about it for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're playing a rivalry game. So anytime you're playing a rivalry game, we're playing our crosstown rivals, Hewlett. It's a 3-minute bus ride. I mean, that alone is exciting. And you want to win those games just because you want bragging rights for the rest of your life. I mean, it's really that simple. So we appreciate those rivalry games for sure. What added a little bit more juice to it this year was the fact that I had been coaching there for the last 20 years. I have good friends who are still on that staff. The head coach there is a good friend of mine and an unbelievable coach, and someone who I learned quite a bit from. So I wanted to put on a good show for Lynbrook, and I wanted to put on a good show because it was a rivalry game, and I wanted to put our best foot forward. So I also knew the implications of the game. They were in desperate need of a win, and we were in desperate need of a win. We just got off of 2 very, very difficult games, and we needed to start establishing, you know, our name and who we were, and we needed to do that this week. There was no next week. We needed to do it this week against Hewlett. And if you add the fourth part to it, which was Friday Night Lights, you know, we get to go to Hewlett and play under the lights. Anytime you get to play under the lights on Friday Night Lights, that's an exciting time as well. So when you add all of those things together, It made for a really, really exciting atmosphere, a charged up atmosphere, and an atmosphere that we wanted to put our best foot forward in.
Crosstown rival. It's a lot of trash talk that goes both ways, but I think it's a great rivalry.
We look forward to playing them every year. You know, it's a crosstown rival. They always like to talk a lot of smack.
This is a revenge game for us. You know, last year we took a tough loss. It was bad, it was at home, so we really wanted to get revenge. This is for Yaker, this is for Labs, this is for us, and the best thing is revenge.
So the way that game played out was our defense pitched its first shutout of the game, and they did an unbelievable job. We had guys making plays all over the place. I think our tandem of linebackers, Tyler Danker and Craig Leschek, I think they combined for 25 tackles in that game, and we shut the Hewlett offense down to 0 total points.
Held them to 12 yards offensively in the first half. We just completely killed them defensively.
And we did enough offensively to win, which is, you know, in Conference 3, getting wins is not easy. These are good coaching staffs, good tough teams, all up and down the conference. And so getting that win was really important. All right, so now we're into the second half of the season, right? And anytime you get into the second half of a football season is a grind. You're working all summer, and then there's a preseason, and then there's the games, and you're pouring everything into each and every game. And so much goes into each and every game. It's so much, you know, not only on the part of the parent, not only part of the players and the coaches, but then you have the parents, you have the trainer, you have things that are going on in school, you have the kids in school. I mean, football season is a grind. You're not turning over the new leaf to a new game or 3 games in a week. It's 1 game per week. So when you look back and you look at the first half of the season, I mean, a lot of energy, a lot of emotion was spent in the first half of the season. And anytime you go to play Floral Park, especially at their place, they have a really good coaching staff. They have tough kids. They have good kids, good players, and we knew it was going to be a battle.
Number 47.
That was one of those games where we didn't play good football at all, offense and defense or special teams in that first half. And we're only down 14-7. And I remember going into the locker room and saying, guys, we can't play a worse half of football, and we're only down by a touchdown. Boom, right what we did on halftime, what we drew up on the board, it worked, and we get off to a running start. Michael rips off a 65-yard touchdown run. That was unbelievable, and I'm starting to say, okay, here we go. You know, this could be the turning point. Maybe we could jump, you know, start jumping ahead, and we just couldn't get that. We just couldn't flip that switch. It was 14-14, and then all of a sudden, 4 plays later, we're back down to 21-14. And then, you know, we battle back, we get a bad turnover, and then we stop them, they kick a field goal, 24-14. But then we're right back in, boom, 24-21. And then, you know, we're going into the fourth quarter, we're in a battle, and sure enough, it's like, you know, a couple of plays later, they're on top again, 31-21. But then we're battling again, we put together a drive. We're playing hard, and you know, we score and we make it 31-28, and that's how the game finishes. And you know, we just kind of got on the bus, and I think we were all a little bit confused. You know, I think we felt that we could have put out a better effort. I think there was a lack of focus at times on all 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. I thought we made mental errors that we really hadn't made so much in those first half of the season, and I think the focus really just wasn't there for that particular game. And I thought that was, you know, for us, that was a game that got away. So now we're into week 6, and we got Valley Stream North, and it's homecoming, right? And you know, homecoming week is an unbelievable week in any high school, but at Lynbrook High School, it's something that you have to see.
Homecoming is one of those things that you grew up watching. As a kid, you dream about being on that field. So when you go out and you have that entire town behind you, the parade, the loud fire engines roaring, it really is unlike any other feeling.
It was a homecoming like I've never seen before in Lynbrook. Like, really reminded me of how it used to be, like when we were younger. A ton of people at the games, everyone supporting, and it was just nice to know that many people were supporting us.
You know that you have a community behind you, and a community that backs you up, and people that, you know, want to see you succeed.
Especially feel like your last homecoming, you want to leave with a win. As a kid, you grow up like watching the older kids run out in the tunnel and high-fiving them, so you always want to be in their shoes. Now when it's finally your chance, you know, you want to make the most of it.
You know, the whole town is involved, the whole school is involved. The spirit throughout the week was unbelievable, and it was actually the first time this entire season where during warm-ups, I took pause for about 30 seconds. And I'm standing on the field, and the team is warming up, and Valley Stream North is there, and the track is lined with cars and ambulances, and they're announcing homecoming king and queen. And I'm just staring out there, and it's the first time for the whole season that things went quiet for me. And I'm looking at the house that I grew up in, and I'm standing at midfield as we're warming up, and I'm saying, boy, is this a dream? Am I living in a dream right now? And I couldn't be more proud to be in the spot that I was. And sure enough, the game kicks off. And about 3 plays into the game, they throw a 73-yard touchdown pass. And quickly I'm thinking, boy, has this dream turned into a nightmare? And we get the ball back, and you know, we get a first down, and sure enough, we're punting, and we punt, and they get a big return. And they return it down to about our 15-yard line. And I'm thinking like, boy, what started out as like this unbelievable day, it's a beautiful day, there are people all over the place, and all of a sudden, are we going to be down 14-0 to the team that knocked us out of the playoffs last year, Valley Stream North? And then there was like, it was like a switch really flipped, and the defense buckled down. They went for a field goal. We held them to a field goal try. They missed the field goal. Three plays later, Batman comes out of his cave. Michael Fagan hits Brian Shapiro for a 63-yard touchdown, and it was like almost like the whole season had changed. And it was from that point on, we just started rolling. We were rolling offensively, we were rolling defensively, and a team that we thought that was going to give us a game until the bitter end. We really did an unbelievable job in all three phases of the game. And it was one of the first times all season that we really did play complementary football. Offense, defense, and special teams. Jalen Walker had a couple of huge returns in the punt return game that set us up. We had big plays on offense. We had huge plays on defense. They could never get their offense going after that. They were never really even a threat to score. They scored late in the game. And honestly, the route was on. And we finished that game. We finished homecoming. It was an unbelievable celebration of the team and of the community. And I think we finished that game really feeling a lot better about our position in conference today. All right, so there's two things about pressure. Pressure breaks pipes. Pressure also makes diamonds. And we knew that going into week 7, that we wanted to try to make a diamond, but it wasn't going to be easy. We were playing Division, who was also, like most teams were, seated ahead of us, a tough team. And we knew we had a lot at stake, but there were also some other things going on within our program at the time that made the game even more important. So this was our benefit game. And this year we chose to honor and celebrate Camp Anchor. Lynbrook has a long-standing tradition with Camp Anchor, volunteers and students who attend Camp Anchor. So we really wanted to put on a good show and really show our love and support for Camp Anchor. And one of the things we had spoken about all year, even as a program, was the role that your community plays in a successful football team. And it's something that we did quite a bit of in the locker room and something that we spoke quite a bit about. And this game certainly highlighted that with highlighting our Camp Anchor volunteers and our Camp Anchor students. So we knew we wanted to put on a good show in that regard. But we also knew that when you start adding up the points, that we win this game and we're in the playoffs. And for a team that wasn't so talked about in the preseason and a team that many people disregarded early on, that was important. We knew that the pressure was on, and we didn't really talk about it so much during the week, but I think we all felt that pressure. And when Division got here, and we had this wonderful ceremony for Camp Anchor, and all of a sudden it's halftime and we're only up 6-0, I think we were all a little bit worried, nervous. But as I said in the beginning here, pressure can break pipes, but pressure can also make diamonds. And we came out at halftime and we just did everything right. And literally players, especially the offensive line, put the entire team on its back. And those guys, Jake Lunati, Ralphie Caputo, Michael O'Hagan, John DiFiore, Tommy Byrne, Tyler Denker, even Ramon Calderon, who's like a converted offensive lineman. They put the team on its back, and we went 27 points, and all of a sudden we were up 33-0, and the game was a runaway, which is what we were looking for. And I really felt that at that point it was an unbelievable effort, an unbelievable win for our team, and at the end, we felt like we were a diamond. All right, so here we are now. We're in week 8, and we're in the playoffs. But listen, there's a big difference between we knew where we could be. So at that point, we can only be the 7th seed or the 8th seed. Of course, you want to be in the playoffs, but there is something to be said for being a higher seed. I think that's good for the morale of the team. I think you want to go into the playoffs with a win. I don't think you want to have that last game as a loss. And I think we wanted to finish the season with a guaranteed winning record. And if we win that game, we have a guaranteed winning record. But we're going into a really tough place. You're going to play at Roosevelt. Roosevelt is a perennial champion, has won multiple Long Island championships, has had a coach who's been there for a long time in Joe Vito, and they have a lot of talent. So we knew that it was going to take everything that we had in order to come out victorious. And that's exactly what it took. It was a defensive battle. We went up 8-0. We had some chances to maybe, put some points on the board and distance ourselves. We couldn't do it, so we go up 8-0, and that's how it remained until halftime. When we come out to half, they go on a really, really strong drive, and they get down to our 1 yard line. Then we do a good job of stopping them. We never ever give in, and then they get a penalty. They go, instead of going for the touchdown on 4th down, they go for a field goal. The snap gets mishandled. We get good pressure on the ball. Guy rolls out. Mikey Hendrickson comes up with an unbelievable tackle on the 2 yard line. And then to me, what happens next almost defines the entire season. There are 2 things that happen after that point. So we get the ball on the 2 yard line, and we proceed to go on a 98 yard drive to go up and score 15-0. And I've been around high school football long enough, and anybody who's watched high school football long enough knows that a 98 yard drive in high school football just does not happen very often. It takes an unbelievable amount of character, an unbelievable amount of discipline, an unbelievable amount of focus. And it just doesn't happen with 16, 17, and 18-year-old kids very often. And to me, that kind of symbolized and characterized this team, is the focus, the attention, the purpose that they played with all year in that 98 yard drive. Now we go up 15-0, but that wasn't the only thing that happened that I thought characterized a lot of this team. Is we go up 15-0, they get the ball back, and we're playing great defense all game, and we have 1 lapse in coverage, and that lapse in coverage results in a 50-yard touchdown pass. And all of a sudden it's 15-6. And one of the things that we've been preaching all year, and especially when we're talking about special teams, is every play matters. Every moment matters. Every single point matters. And it could be the difference between winning and losing. And sure enough, they line up for the extra point. And we had put in a block that week to block their extra point. And Max D'Antona slips in, blocks the point. And that point is huge, because now you go in a 4th quarter game, you go from a 1 possession game, 15-7, to a 2 possession game, 15-6. And at that point, we knew that in that short amount of time, they had to score twice in order to win. And we were able to hold on to the ball and do an unbelievable job at the end. I'll never forget Danny Barroso ripping off some huge runs at the end of the game to ice that game. To me, that whole second half was almost became a symbol of our season. Guys getting it done when they needed to get it done. Guys finishing when they need to finish. Focusing on the 1 play, the 1 moment, the 1 point, and every point matters. And then obviously the focus and the discipline, the attention to detail that it takes to execute a 98 yard drive is something that I think really ended up defining this team.
We got our goal of winning this week to get the mark up. Okay. Now everyone is 0-0. Okay. This is all a scrimmage till we get to the playoffs. Now we're here. Okay. Guaranteed 1 game. Now it's win or go home. Okay. So now we have to have the best week of practice we've had all year. Get ready to work, watch the film. Okay. Offense, really punching in when we need to. 98 yard drive. It's hard to do in high school football. So that's all. And Max D'Antona, okay, Max D'Antona, you had a missed assignment, okay, and next play comes in and blocks the extra point, which is a huge point. It's a 2-score game. Okay?
Coming out of Roosevelt with a win was definitely a great feeling. It's hard playing there. They definitely have a crazy community to play against.
It really motivated us, and I feel like if we would have lost and versus Plain Edge first round, everyone's motivation would have been gone. And it just, coming off that win really showed us like we were able to do it.
Okay, so here we are, exactly where we wanted to be in the beginning of the season, week 9. And week 9 is just a whole nother level of intensity and focus and purpose. Playoff week is exciting. And when you add to that the fact that we're the 7 seed and we're playing the 2 seed in Wantor, I think that added even more electricity to it. It's like, you know, can these guys do it? You know, this is supposed to be a blowout. That excitement leading up to it and that week of practice was one of the best week of practices that we had. The kids were focused, we were having fun, we were excited, and we were ready to prove that we belonged there, that we belonged in that playoff game. As we loaded the bus and walked up and out of the tunnel and loaded the bus, there was a palpable sense of purpose that I hadn't felt yet this year, and I think it's because it's the playoffs. I think, you know, people know and realize what's on the line here. I think the seniors understand that could this be their last game, and I think, you know, you get that sense and you start to feel it in your bones. And we get off that bus and we go down to we go into Wantor, and you know, I thought it was one of our better pre-games that we had. I thought people were excited, people were fired up. I thought the passion was there and the purpose was there. So we knew what we were up against, and we were ready for the challenge, and I felt like our kids were believing. And I don't remember the exact words, but, you know, something to the effect of, we're the 11 seed, and the county doesn't think much of us. And that was like way back, man. That was like, I don't know, sometime in June. You know, what are we gonna do about it? What are we gonna do when adversity hits us in the face? I was wondering, like, what's gonna happen this season? What is going to happen this season? And what are you going to do when you get to where you want to get to? What are you going to do when you get there? What are you going to do when your brother needs you, your brother's leaning on you, your brother depends on you? What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you get there? And we talk about, we want people to notice us. We want people to see us. We got the lights, we got the camera, we got the action. It is here. It is now. There are people in the stands, they want to see you. What are you going to do when they're all watching, when they're screaming your name? Playoff football is the best time. Playoff football is the best football. Because you got what you wanted. We got what we wanted. This is exactly where we want to be. This is exactly the position we want to be in. And now we got it. And I'll tell you this, it's not enough to just show up. It's time to fucking show out. And that's what we've been doing all season. There's no reason we're not going to do it right now. Yes, sir. Here we go. What would you do when you get there? What would you do when you got there? We're f***ing here. And on Saturdays, we got it. 1, 2, 3. And sure enough, you know, we get the ball, and they win the toss, and we get the ball to start. And we do a couple of nice things, but we're forced to punt, and we punt, and they fumble the return, and we recover it. And here we are, the very next play, Michael Fagan rips off the 37-yard touchdown run, and just like that, the Wantor fans go silent. It's 7-0. And we were feeling really good about ourselves. We really liked the plan offensively and defensively. Listen, they have a Thorpe Award candidate of their own in Capelli, and he proved every bit of why he is that guy. There was a fumble that wasn't called. There were a couple of holding penalties which set us back. On big drives, on drives that we needed, on drives that we responded to. After getting down 13-7, we responded with a great drive. We try a reverse on a kickoff return, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And here we are on our 18-yard line, and we're thinking, oh, oh boy, if we don't get something here, this game could get away from us quick. And instead, we really put together an unbelievable drive, and it gets stalled out by a couple of, tough holding penalties. We get up to midfield. Michael rips off a run for about 39 yards, for about 11 yards to the 39-yard line, and gets called back on a holding penalty. And just put us into. Then we rip off another run. Two plays later, we gain it all back, and we rip off another run, and that gets called back on a holding penalty. So we kind of put ourselves into some tough positions. And as we said, when you're playing a team like Wantua, and you're the 7th seed, you almost have to play a perfect game. And so those scenarios kind of put us behind the 8 ball. All that being said, we still are down 21-7 at the half. We do drive at the end of the first half. We get to within the 6-yard line, and we just come up short. And so here we are at halftime thinking, hey, we're right there. A couple of calls, a couple of bad penalties, a misconversion, down on the goal line at the end of the half. We are right there with the 2 seed. And I think, they knew that too. They understood that too. Wantua understood that too. And we come back out in the second half, and it remains 21-7 throughout the entire third quarter. A little bit of back and forth. We're doing some things, they're doing some things. Neither one of us can convert. And then we put together another drive in the fourth quarter, and we get down to their 5-yard line. But listen, one of the things that defines Wantua is the closer you get to the goal line, the better their defense is. And we just couldn't find a way to get it into the end zone there. And we get stopped, we stall out on the 5-yard line, and sure enough, the very next play,
Up ahead, here's Capelli. There's your statement. 50, 40, 30. You can't stop them. It's Nick Capelli's world, and we're just living in it. Wantar will move on after the huge run and dagger from Nick Capelli.
I was on the sideline, and I was upset. I was a little mad. I knew it was over. I knew there wasn't much I can do at this point. I felt a little disappointed because with this team, I felt like we could have done whatever we wanted, and it was just the feeling that you knew it was all over. So just a little upset.
I was on the other side of the field when it happened, and I saw him break free, and I really tried to pursue Chase and try to get the last tackle maybe, and I just couldn't get there. And when I saw him score, I saw the time running down, and those were my literal last moments of being a football player, and it really hit me, and I didn't really know how to feel. I didn't want it to go away.
So as he was going down the sideline, there was this feeling of hopelessness, this game is basically over, and my football career is basically over, and so is basically everyone in this team.
And he cut it back, and I remember turning around and just looking back as he off to the races, and it just shot through my whole body where it's this is probably it. This is where it all is. Like football was.
That would make the game 7-28, and at that point we just did not have enough time to bring the game back to us. So the offense came back out on the field, and we just wanted to have one nice last drive with all of the whole team together.
High school football is different because 97% of high school football players are never going to put on a helmet and shoulder pads again. And I bet that number might even be a little bit higher. You might play flag football, you might have a catch, but you're never going to put on helmet and shoulder pads again. You can do other things. You can play basketball in leagues. You can put on a basketball uniform again. You can play lacrosse in leagues. You can play lacrosse in adult leagues. You can run track, and you can run marathons, and you can run 5Ks. You can play golf and tennis. Those are lifetime sports. You can do that forever. High school football is not a lifetime sport, but it is a once in a lifetime experience. And it's always hard when you're at the end of a game and you're watching guys make their final run and their final catch and their final tackle. because it'll never happen again. And that's always a really, really difficult thing to witness as a coach, as a fan, as a parent, even as a player. But you know, when the dust settles, and when I gathered the team around after, before we walked off the field, you know, I gathered everybody in and I said, look, you're allowed to be sad, and you're allowed to cry, and you're allowed to have tears, and that's normal. And when you put this much into something, that's what you're going to feel. When you put a lot into something, you're going to feel that way when it's all over. But under no circumstances was anybody on that team and anybody who played on that field allowed to hang their head. They could be sad, they can cry, but they were to walk out there with their heads high because they competed like champions, like we asked them to do for the entire season, and they certainly left everything they had on the field. And for that, you know, that's the only person they ever have to answer to is the person they're looking at in the mirror. And if they could do that, then they were a success and they had a successful season. So for that, I'm proud of them.
You know, this team's like a brotherhood to me. You know, it's you really never know, you know, who you'll find in this world. And I mean, I never knew that I was ever going to be this close with these group of guys, and it was fun. It was really fun. You know, everyone had a good experience. And I had a really good time. And I mean, honestly, I wish it could last forever, but everything ends eventually. And I mean, I will definitely remember these guys forever.
This team was really just like family. Like beginning of the season, like the seniors we were friends, and the juniors they were friends, and just throughout the season we really just binded together into one big family, one brotherhood.
Team means a lot to me. I grew up with almost all of these kids, and it was a really great experience. Just seeing how much we could bond together as a team and as a friend group, especially. I'll remember a lot of these kids for the rest of my life.
My senior year, my last year playing high school football, and these were the guys that I did it with. Endless memories, good and bad. I'm gonna miss getting yelled at by Coach Paz, and I'm gonna miss going out with my team, my boys, balling out with them on Saturdays. It's just sad that you have to walk away from it, but everybody does eventually. So
to me, it's more than just a brotherhood and like, oh, we're here together and we call each other like brothers, but really we bled together, we lost together, we fought together, and everything we did was just together. We really, at the start of the season, we weren't as close, and nobody really knew how this was going to work. And I feel like over time we truly like bonded together and developed an actual friendship behind just the football team, on and off the field.
This team to me is honestly like a brotherhood. There is nothing else in this world that I feel more bonded to anyone besides playing football with these certain people right here. Nothing like last year, nothing like anything I feel that I'll ever feel in the rest of my life that will ever be like this. Just being with my boys on the field, playing the sport that I love and that we all have an insane passion for. Not a single person out here doesn't have the go-get mentality.
Oh, this team is the last team I'll ever play football with. Organized football. I'm gonna remember forever, and there's just no better group of guys that we could have played with. We became so close. The relationships we formed was just amazing. I became so much closer with everybody.
And the coaches always tell you about this like brotherhood, these memories that they had growing up, and you really never really sets in until after. This team really, and I know it's cliche to say, was a brotherhood. I mean, I love everyone on the team. Like, in all seriousness, everyone will probably forget the score, forget the teams we played, but the one thing I don't think any of us will forget were the memories, the friends we made, and like the overall feeling of the team.
You know, having like, you know, whatever 40 best friends is kind of a great feeling, but you know, it's a brotherhood that you never forget, and all the memories that we shared. You know, between the lines and all the scores and stuff, you kind of all starts to fade, but you know, never forget the times that we shared together.
It was the vibe, it was the mentality that we all had, just the opportunity that we all had to play on the field with Yaker and all of the other coaches that just, honestly, they all put so much hard work and all this care into our team that it just made everything worth doing. No matter how hard it got or how easy it was just always a good vibe.
Coach Yaker and all the other coaches on the coaching staff just they taught all of the guys on the team to just push each other and dig a little bit deeper. You know, who's gonna be the guy that's gonna go the extra mile in the fourth quarter? Who's gonna make that block? Who's gonna make that tackle? They taught us just whether you're up 100 or down 100, you're still, no matter what, you're gonna have to give it your all. You know, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Something that Yaker said like really stuck with me throughout the season, and like it helped me become like who I am. And like he said, you can only deal with the cards that you're dealt with. And our team, we're not the biggest team, we're not the fastest or the strongest, but we have people who want to actually commit to something and like truly win and like make something of themselves, and that's what we did.
I learned a lot this season with this coaching staff, and one big important thing that I learned from this entire coaching staff is that you always have to keep pushing on. You have to keep going, no matter what life throws at you. And things are unexpected, and everyone has to be ready.
And you know, the coaching staff, you know, I have to say this is one of the best coaching staffs I've ever been a part of. You know, especially with Coach Yaker coming down. He was definitely someone that we needed. You know, as much as we wanted him, as a group of seniors and as a team, and definitely for the younger kids coming up, you know, they're in for a treat because he's got to be one of the best coaches I've ever met in my life.
This season was very special to me because it was my senior season. We made it to the playoffs. We beat our crosstown rivals. We won homecoming, and it's pretty much all you can ask for a team who last year didn't even make it to the playoffs and went 5-3.
You know, the setbacks that we started with, you know, coming with a new coach and being an 11 seed was tough to start, but finishing as being in the playoffs as a 7 seed was a great feeling. You know, it was a great group of guys, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. I think we had a great season altogether, and I'm happy that we experienced it together. Just how quick time goes. I remember being varsity as a sophomore, and like remembering the seniors saying like it goes by quick, but I never really thought of it, you know, being only a sophomore. But it shows how fast time really goes, especially having so much fun and being with the guys that you've played with since you were a little kid. So definitely wish I had more time with them.
So my favorite memory from this year is when we had the homecoming dinner. Right after homecoming, we had a big win, and Coach LaBarbera sat at our table. You know, we had a great time with him. You know, really got close with him, and it was very fun. I love all our coaches, but I'm gonna give a shout out to my position coaches, Coach Brento and Coach LaBarbera. They really made a difference this year for me, and anyone to be coached by them in the future is very lucky.
You know, I just wanted to thank the coaches, especially Coach Yaker, and all of them for how much time and effort they put into the season. I want to wish the best of luck to the younger guys, you know, get in the weight room and continue to lift and work hard because it's your season next. So I want you to have a great time and remember it.
I just want to give a huge shout out to my entire O-line that I played with the entire season, and my amazing coaches. Paz, even though he yelled at me day in and day out on the field, it only made me better and stronger as a person. Thank you.
It's almost impossible for me to put this season into words, and I've said that a bunch of times this whole season. The feeling, the emotion that I have is almost too great for words, and I don't think that words will adequately do justice to what I felt throughout the season, and even what I'm feeling now as I talk about the season. A football season, it takes so much goes into a football season. And the support that I felt this year personally is, and was, simply put, overwhelming. You know, you hope that you can step into a new position, you hope that you could step into a new job, you hope that you could step into a place and make an impact and have your voice heard and have people buy what you're selling. But I never, ever, in my wildest dreams, imagined what would take place this year. We asked as a staff, and I asked even my own staff, for great sacrifice in order to put out the best possible product that we could put out on the field on Saturdays. We asked our kids and our players to make sacrifice in watching film, in reading scouting reports, in practice, in two-a-days, in the summer, lifting, at night. We asked them to make great sacrifice, and they responded. But it wasn't only them who responded. It was others who responded. It was the community who responded. It was the parents who responded. It was the people who I had on the sidelines responding. It was the teachers responding. It was the principal responding. It was the superintendent responding. It was an entire community that responded. And to me, that's why it's so hard to put into words. The only thing that I can say is that I will forever be thankful and grateful for this team. I think this particular team, and especially this group of seniors, they bought what I was selling. And for that, their legacy is they have put Lynbrook back on the map. And every group after this is going to look to this group of seniors as this was the right way to do it. And they certainly did it the right way. They played for each other. They loved each other. They were friends on the field and off the field. They did things outside of here together as a team. And to ever be successful in anything you do, if you don't have that and you don't have people to share it with and share that joy with, then it's worth nothing. And for me, to be able to share this moment and these moments with the guys in this locker room is something that I will forever cherish. And as I said to the kids, you know, the day that they left, I have 3 words: whatever, whenever, forever. And you know, when you're part of this group and you're part of this team and you do the things that we ask you to do, whatever you need, whenever you need it, forever. That's kind of the model that I left them with. And you know, I'm looking forward to their successes, and I hope they lean on some of these experiences throughout their life and remember fondly and come back and stop in on the field and remember the things that took place in this locker room and on the field, and use that and lean on that to help them be great successes in their own lives. A good friend of mine, the day that I left Lawrence, gave me something that Coach Bear Bryant carried with him every day. And he gave this to me, and I carried it around every day, and to this day I have it up in my classroom, and I read it every morning when I get to school. This is the beginning of a new day. God has given me this day to use as I will. I can waste it or use it for good. What I do today is very important because I'm exchanging a day of my life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever, leaving something in its place I have traded for it. I want it to be gain, not lost, good, not evil, success, not failure, in order that I shall not forget the price I paid for it.